Stuff Among Other Things weekly podcast with your hosts Nicholas Miller and Bruce Stewart.
Hey everybody, welcome to Stuff Among Other Things, where we talk about stuff.
And other things.
I'm Nick.
I'm Bruce.
And this week we're digging into some life lessons. That's exciting.
It is, yes.
As we are live streaming again this week for people that aren't actually watching, but they're listening. So if you want, you can get onto our Facebook page and check it out. And I really need to start getting these things onto YouTube.
Yeah.
I was going to do last week's, but last week's I was using the front-facing camera on my iPhone, which is like, what's one step below 240p?
Like an old analog TV or something.
Pretty much.
It's got bunny ears on it.
That's kind of the quality of video it was when I tried to
really?
download it. So that's why I flipped the camera around this week. It's going to be a little bit different. So hopefully it's actually going to be on our YouTube page and so on and so forth. But we took a poll after our last episode to find out what we're going to do this week, whether it's going to be life lessons or we're going to do time travel.
Yep.
And we had a whole 9 votes. 9 whole votes.
Which was like 7 more than I actually expected.
I know.
So I'm pretty
same
excited.
here. But life lessons narrowly won out, so we decided that we were going to delve into this a little bit. I guess I'm going to start it off. We have a grand total of 10 life lessons that we want to discuss and get into a little bit more depth. And then Bruce and I each have... We do have a list.
Yeah, I guess technically. But it's not like all the other more topical.
No, but we have a few lessons of life that are near and dear to each of us, and we're going to go through those as well. So bear with us on this. I guess we'll start it off. Life lesson number 1: words really do matter. I think that's a biggie.
Yeah, absolutely. You can say the same thing 10 different ways and get 10 different responses out of it. So it's very important, especially if you're in a position in your life where maybe things are tense, you're having a bad day. Well, when you come home to your family and they're like, "Oh, how's your day?" You can just kind of unload on them, or you can choose to realize that they're not the reason you had a bad day at the office or whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
and if you come home hot and ready from an argument that you were having at work, and you come home with the same argument, you're making someone's day, a lot worse.
Right.
Like, who knows what they went through? Like, just take a chill pill. You know.
You should be grateful that somebody's even asking you how your day was, not using them as a punching bag for your bad day.
Now, if you want them to be a punching bag, ask them if they can be a punching bag.
Can I vent to you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. Here's why I'm mad.
Things suck.
Yeah. But of course, that's every day for pretty much everybody, unless you're a millionaire.
Well, I mean, even they have their own problems.
I would have a lot less problems if I was a millionaire.
Money would solve a lot more of them than I think a lot at would.
Well, remember a few weeks back where we said, money can't buy happiness? I don't know.
It can buy things that give me at least a moment of happiness. But
it's like Daniel Tosh said, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a jet ski.
Right, yeah.
And I've never seen someone angry on a jet ski.
Right, there you go.
But yeah, words really do matter, and I feel like words, they hold more power than a lot of people think.
Oh my, yes.
Like if you're just talking to someone and let's say for example, you make a joke in passing, you don't even realize that, what you're saying. Mm-hmm. If the person takes that the wrong way, it can really do some damage to them, depending on what their mental state is at that time.
Right, yeah. Like little sly comments and things like that can kill confidence. If you mention, your teeth look a little funny, that person might not smile ever again.
Yeah.
Or, like not openly, they might, every time they go to smile, stop and pause, and that's taking some, happiness right out of the world, so.
Yeah, and if they have a large amount of, in this day and age, you notice it a lot more because more people feel comfortable to talk about it, like anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
If they have a very large amount of anxiety, and let's say, for example, that they're not being medicated for it, they're not being treated, sometimes people just...
Oh, they're just struggling in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't know what your words are going to do to someone.
Right.
So be the better person and always try to feel what other people are feeling.
Yeah.
I think with this being, words really do matter. It's more or less me saying, try to empathize with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And think before you speak. My gosh, it takes moments to realize that you could ruin somebody's day or week or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So
Easily. Moving down the list. Number 2, put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even describe how important that is.
Yeah.
If you want something, you have to go out and you have to do it.
Right.
For most people, things aren't handed to us on a silver platter.
Right.
If you want to make something of yourself, make something of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Chase that dream. You can't just sit around and wish that the right person will come along and see your talent and bring you to your preferred sports team or whatever your dream is. Nobody's scouting the local basketball hoops or courts to see if the next MJ's out there.
If you want to be a rock star,
Practice. Oh my God, practice.
Do everything you can to get gigs in the middle of a major city.
Travel, be poor, live in a van. I mean, you're gonna have to. You can't just sit back and say, "Well, I think I had the aptitude, or there was a promise, or maybe I could have done this or that."
Right.
I mean, you gotta get up and go do it because somebody's going to.
Well, perfect example. You and I both know a drummer named Steven Schrock.
Oh, yeah.
And he is the drummer for a band called Cavern. They're a local band for us. They're not big by any means. They now have a vocalist.
Yeah.
She plays bass too, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, they brought the bass back, yeah.
Yeah. Those guys, they can rock. And I think right now they're on tour in Canada. Broke as a joke.
Yeah.
Living out of a van. But I don't think any of them would rather be doing anything else.
Right, yeah.
They're doing what makes them happy. They're putting the work in.
Yeah.
And it really shows. If maybe one day they'll find the right person and be able to, move up in the world.
Right.
The problem though with being a rock star is internet killed it.
It's hit or miss.
Well, I mean, think about the whole plays for money, like a subscription service.
Oh yeah. Well, making decent money at being a rock. I mean, becoming famous is, in my opinion, probably easier now because of the instant exposure. As long as you have that thing that makes you stand out, you can get the views and become famous. But to make a career of it, it's a lot more difficult. So I don't know. It's hit or miss. But whatever your dream is, doesn't matter.
It doesn't have to be a rock star. I got a little off tangent.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It doesn't matter. Just go after it, or at least stop whining. I don't want to hear you complain about something you never tried to do in the first place. I mean, it might sound a little rude of me, but for that person that's like, oh, they said I could always be the quarterback. Well, did you try out? Oh, well, I mean, I didn't get along with the kicker, or whatever it is. I don't care. Your excuse is somebody else is in that position that you think you could have been in.
Oh, another one to go along with that. It's not on our list, but you do miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds kind of corny, but it's 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm. It's just like the kitty. Yeah, hang in there.
Yeah.
Number 3. This doesn't apply to everybody. It only applies to parents, people with kids, so on and so forth. Obviously, that's what the definition of a parent is. But
typically,
your kids aren't you.
Yeah, this one, whenever I was going through the notes, that one really stuck out to me. I cannot stand the people living vicariously through their children. The guy that's out there, not to keep ragging on sports, but he's out there at the t-ball field just, belligerently going at his kid for missing the bunt to left. And, just because you didn't make it in the big leagues, maybe you couldn't hack it, maybe you just weren't good enough. Mm-hmm. Maybe you should check with your little one before you find out that he or she hates baseball.
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Ask your kid what they want to do. And what they want to do, stand behind them.
Right. And you really got to consider do you want to do what your parents did? Like how try to be in your kid's position. You're dolling them up to be the next you, but you didn't want to be the last one. In the family tree. So yeah, very very important to that. You've created another person. They're a new person. Let them be them.
And another thing, I'm going to get a little deep here for a second. It's not just necessarily living through your kids. It's teaching your kids the appropriate life lessons for them to develop into their own successful adults.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Every single person that is born is not born racist.
Right.
You are taught racism.
Yeah.
And that is wrong, in my opinion. It's wrong in most people's opinion. Every single bigoted thing that you and I would consider to be along that kind of line is taught, and it's hammered in through kids' heads, and it's all about guiding them on their path to make their own decisions and to help them navigate the world in a way that helps them become a better person.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it.
You got to set them up to leave the nest. And I mean, I know it's heartbreaking, especially I think from a mother perspective, maybe that's a lot more difficult.
Oh, absolutely. Because most moms, they're with the kids so much more than the dad. I'm not trying to say dads aren't important. Trust me, dads are important in a lot of ways.
But the typical, I guess, the average family might. Of course, you have families that have two dads, so it doesn't.
Right.
But
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very heartbreaking to hear that for a lot of people, but at the same time, it is basically true. I mean, the kid's not going to live with you forever unless they're creepy sheltered.
Right.
And then we have more discussions for you.
That's a different video.
Yeah, it's a different video involving the police.
But you're doing a major disservice to your children by sheltering them. You gotta. I just watched something really interesting the other day talking about the differences between risks and hazards. You got those helicopter parents, as they're called, that are just constantly hovering, and I've done it plenty of times myself. Where you want to be there to catch them every time, and it's like at some point you kind of need to start letting your kids take a calculated risk. A risk is something that can be controlled. You can mitigate it. If you're climbing a tree, you can decide how many branches up that tree you're going to go before you stop. And I think it's important for all of us, parents, to remember that there's that self-confidence that needs to be built up, and you kind of do that from messing up or from taking these risks. And I think they're far more important than people think.
It's not a failure if you're learning from it.
Right. Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
The most important thing.
I mean,
it's a learning.
Obviously, there's safety involved, but you put the helmet and the knee pads and the shoulder pads on the kid, and maybe the training wheels and all that. You don't give them a bike.
Right.
You can prepare them for the failure and make them understand that failure isn't necessarily the end. It absolutely does not have to be, and it's kind of up to you. Mm-hmm. But failure is necessary. You're nobody ever gets anything the first time through, and it's very important to give your kids that confidence, and they're gonna scrape some knees. And
what did Alfred say to Bruce Wayne?
Oh boy,
why do we fall?
Oh yeah,
so we can pick ourselves back up.
I thought it was gonna be like a really bad joke or something.
No,
like, oh geez,
we ought to do a week of puns.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a week of people going, I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Yeah, we'll skip that.
Yeah,
that's it. Why do we fall? Yeah.
It's all about teaching your kids to be the person that you want them to be.
Be a person.
Yeah.
Not you, not a kid forever. A person. That's what you're raising them to be. You're not raising them to be bigger kids.
No, absolutely not. Raise them to make their own decisions and be a successful adult. To be a functioning member of society. Don't raise them to fill a void that you have in your angry heart or something along that kind of line.
Yep. I think it's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I did have another point to make with that, but I think we've touched on that subject enough. Number 4, relationships are what really matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's probably going to be one of the most true statements that we're going to say this episode.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, that's all that does matter.
Yeah, I mean, we are social animals. You
Unfortunately.
really, yeah, and you really need. I mean, obviously there are introverts and things of that nature, but I think it's very important for people to realize that at the end of their life, if they have a mansion full of riches, but they're the only one in it, they're not wealthy. They're just rich.
Right. I mean, everyone's graves are going to be the same size.
Yeah. I mean, mine will be a little longer, but
mine's going to be a little wider. But it's true. Like, I've mentioned it before. I really don't like people. I hate people with a passion for the most part. This past weekend, we went to Washington D.C. and we were experiencing. I'm gonna butcher it if I tried to name what the actual name of it is, but it was a Japanese street festival that they have every year. And of course, they wanted to go and experience, the whole Japanese culture, so on and so forth, and that's great. That's cool. They want to get out of the house. They want to go do something. Oh God, I'm so glad that I had medication with me that day. I'm just gonna put that out there. It was miserable, but I loved the fact that my kid was having so much fun. Mm-hmm. Just running around, having a blast, seeing all the sights, tasting weird different things. Yeah. It's unfortunate they didn't have chicky nuggies, as my daughter would call it. But no matter how much I dislike being around other people, there's still that select few group that I want to do everything I can to be next to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a quality versus quantity person. You don't have to have 50 friends, and I think that's really, going back to the last thing, that's really important to try to instill in your kids. And I know, a kid in elementary school, they're 30 other classmates, that's their world to them. Mm-hmm. But you can definitely have a handful of quality, meaningful relationships, friendships, and beyond. With the people that you actually have something in common with. It's a shame to see children kind of all clambered to be friends with the popular kid for the sake of being friends with or to be the popular kid just for the sake of being popular. I don't want to be popular. I want to be loved, and I think that's important.
Yeah, pretty much. For me, like, other than my my immediate family, you're the only other person that I see on a regular basis.
Right, yeah.
I don't go anywhere. I don't hang out with people. To tell you the truth, if I got invited out, probably wouldn't end up going to most of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I'm gonna recommend you take a little leap. It depends. I mean, obviously, you want to go to an event that you would appreciate.
Oh, right, right.
I've been invited by you to baseball games, and I'm like, no, I'm not a sports guy by any means.
That's completely fine. But I'm just trying to think, like, would I rather go to a event around a whole bunch of people that I'm not going to enjoy being around, or would I rather want to spend a lazy evening just reading stories to my kid? Yeah, I'm always going to go to the thing that I feel is the most important, and that's the relationships that are near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I feel like I'm always going to choose her over everything. So.
Until she's old enough to choose other things.
Oh,
and then you're going to be so sad.
Oh, she started being mouthy. She's only 2. When does it stop? Oh, that's right. Never. Oh, it's okay. Well, moving on a little bit. Well, we're halfway through the list now.
Yeah, we're cruising along.
Number 5. Things gather dust. I don't know about other people out there, but I think it comes down to a lot of people that do collections worth of stuff. If you hoard a whole bunch of things, you're never going to have the time to play with all of them at the same time. I feel like if you want to have a collection of fill-in-the-blanks, then that's cool. That's a cool idea. Like me personally, I have a huge collection of autographs, and it's not something I can play with, but it's definitely something that I can put up on the wall. I can display. I do like to regularly switch them out, so on and so forth. So I have something to look at that's a little bit different. But it's more or less like a cry to declutter your life. you appreciate things more whenever it's more simplistic. If you have 3 things that you absolutely love and adore, and you're always going between those 3 things, you're going to appreciate them a lot more than 50 things that you use once every 5 years.
Yeah, I noticed that like whenever I get music, I try not to get many albums at a time, because sometimes like if I get 3 or 4 albums, I won't even listen to one of them for months or something. But if I grab 1 or 2, I do a lot better with actually taking the time to listen to them.
Oh, absolutely. I did that with 2 albums recently. Devin Townsend came out with the album Empath, and Whitechapel came out with the album The Valley, and each one is a audio masterpiece. It's one of those where I just want to sit on a bed with a pair of headphones, nothing else. I just want to listen to each album individually from start to finish and just have an experience.
Yeah, like eyes closed, absorbing the music.
Yeah, not driving, not talking, not doing anything. I just want to hear the music.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this day and age, everyone's just trying to do something that's what's hip, what's popular, so on and so forth. Like, look at all of the writers that you have on like a Beyonce song. There will be like 55 writers, and it's the same 5 lyrics over and over and over again, versus one person like Freddie Mercury writing Bohemian Rhapsody. It's all about the quality, not quantity.
Yeah, it's always kind of boggled my mind, the whole and this goes back probably to the previous generation. I don't think our generation is going to bother with it because they don't have the money, but and no, I guess that's my only point, is they don't have the money.
Sad but true.
The knick-knack or like the china, the dishes that nobody can use,
the good china.
Yeah, the good china, like the president's going to come.
Yeah, that sits in the cabinet.
You cannot use it. You're not allowed to open the cabinet except to dust around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like what's the point? Or my personal favorite is throw pillows.
Oh, I hate those.
Yeah.
I hate those. I want like 2 because I have one head and maybe somebody else might be in the room with me.
Like,
but
number one, they're not comfortable. They're never made out of a fabric that you want to put your face against.
Yeah. It's always like burlap or some weird silk that sticks to you.
Made out of sandpaper and duct tape. It's like what's the point? Like, yeah, you have them. They're there, but you can't enjoy them.
So I can definitely appreciate. I wasn't sure exactly what you were going for with this whenever I originally read it, but I can appreciate what you're going for there, is to just kind of take the time to realize that, specialize in what you are collecting. It's okay to have a collection of things, but make sure you're not just buying things for the sake of buying, or to have the newest or the best or whatever. I've had 2 laptops my entire life.
Right.
Like my current laptop's like 10 years old. It gets the job done. That's what we're recording with right now.
I'm
could I
just
go
glad
get
it
a
keeps
new one?
ticking.
Yeah. So far. Could I go get a new one today? Yep. But I mean, I don't need it, and I'm happy with this. And I think learning to appreciate the things you do have and be happy for them, or happy that you have them, versus just looking for the next thing to buy. I think a lot of people are kind of buyaholics in that sense.
I know I am. I'm straight up a buyaholic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
I'll put my heart and soul into something, and if it doesn't pan out, then I'll put my heart and soul into the next thing that comes along.
See, I can wait a long time. Like there are items that I buy that I've been eyeballing for years, sometimes decades. My Telecaster. I wanted a Telecaster forever before I finally got one, and I was able to wait. And there's still things in the future that I know, one of these days I'll own one, but I don't have to have one today or tomorrow. I don't have to put myself in a pile of debt. Well, in the meantime, I'll enjoy what I do have.
Look at me and you when it comes to mountain biking.
Yeah,
there's a good example. We've mentioned this in previous episodes, but Bruce and I do like to go mountain biking. I don't know if I can call it mountain biking. It's more like
it's just bicycling.
Yeah, it's bike riding. Yeah, it's
we pedal.
We ride trails, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but we are both. Well, he's using a bike that is 410 years old.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, from a different era. My bike doesn't even belong to me. My bike is actually belonging to my parents, And it's something that we thoroughly enjoyed. We just weren't able to do much last year because
Rain.
it was nothing but rain.
But for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been probably about 4, I guess. We've been biking pretty consistently, weather permitting, on these, in my case, rickety old bike and your borrowed bike, and we're finally taking the time to buy, in our opinion, a really nice bike. But for anybody that's into biking, it's like entry level.
Yeah, they're entry level hardtails, but they do have some nice features to them.
Yeah.
For the people that don't bike, I mean, they're expensive bikes, but for people that are in the sport, dropping $600 it's nothing.
Right,
That's the cost of a wheel for some of these people.
Sometimes.
And I'm envious. I want to ride your bike sometime.
Yeah.
But we're finally putting our next step forward, and we're buying. Well, they're actually going to be matching bikes, which is kind of cool.
Guess we're cool like that.
Twinsies.
Yeah. So it's we've been planning this purchase for over a year now. We started, I think, last March, considering the purchase after having ridden these bikes. And for reference, my bike is like 10 sizes too small for me. Like, my knees almost hit the handlebars. Like,
he got the bike whenever you were, 11, 12?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was thinking 12.
It was a hot minute ago. And we basically made sure that it's going to be something that is worth our investment. It's not... why would we spend that kind of money if we're only going to go out riding once or twice and then just put the bike away and never touch it again?
Just to say I have a nice bike. Yep.
Yeah, we're putting the money forward to have a quality product.
Right, because we're not, in my opinion, investing in bicycles. We're investing in a relationship and a friendship, and we're investing in time and health. Like that's what it is. I'm paying money to have the ability to comfortably do an activity that is going to better my health. It's low impact for my crappy knees.
I feel really guilty talking about that while I drink a can of Mountain Dew at 170 calories a can.
Is it really?
It is.
That's rough.
It is. But not to knock on Mountain Dew, we'll take an endorsement. Drink Mountain Dew.
I'll drink 2 of them.
But yeah, it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna better ourselves. And if you don't go biking, I highly recommend it. It's just so much fun just to get outdoors and just have a morning of it. I think me and you did like 16 miles in like what was it, like an hour and a half or something like that?
No, it was a little longer than that. It was
it?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2.5 hours. But still, I mean, it's a good pastime. It doesn't have to take all day. Definitely if you have the ability to check your local state parks and things like that. I mean, our tax dollars go into, as long as they're still around, state parks that a lot of them have well groomed and maintained trails and things like that, so it's definitely worthwhile. So
and I want to actually go to a real mountain bike park sometime. They have some amazing trails, and not all of them are, what are they called, like Black Diamond or something like that.
Yeah, I don't want to kill myself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fat, I'm gonna break my bike. Anyhow,
wow,
we got off tangent there.
Yeah, we're pretty bad at that today. We're gonna have to focus and dial out.
Sorry. Well, I feel like we were already blazing through this, and we're at 27 minutes.
Yeah, we're over halfway through, and we're not. Yeah, it'll be a shorter episode.
Bear with us. We're gonna call this filler content.
Might get cut later, but probably not, because we're kind of lazy about that.
Number 6, friendships require care.
Yeah,
I feel like that's both hit and miss. There's definitely some friendships that I have where I haven't talked to someone in years. But I feel like if I were to see them, I could just pick up the conversation like nothing ever happened. Mm-hmm. But there's also times where I'm talking to someone, and if I go 24 hours without talking to them, I start to kind of go through withdrawal.
Okay.
I guess. It's one of those kind of deals where if you want to maintain your relationships, find out from the person that you're talking to how they feel about that relationship as well. Mm-hmm. That way you're both on the same page and you can both maintain yourselves.
Yeah.
If you're attention hungry and the person that you're friends with does not like attention, you're probably not going down the right path there.
It might be tough, yeah.
Or vice versa. You
just don't force the friendship, I think, is important.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to force it.
Yeah, I have a lot of acquaintances because I'm not going to try to force a friendship with somebody that I mean, I can get along with. I can be cordial and things of that nature, but to genuinely enjoy.
Well, like look at you and I. We have conversations about one topic that will span over the course of, 12, 16, 18, 20 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's not because we're forcing the conversation, it's because we're hitting the most basic of points when we think about them.
Right.
Hey, what do you think about this? Oh, here. A couple hours go by. What about this? Sure. It's not that we're trying to force talking to each other. Right. It's the fact that we are, I don't know, I think we're comfortable enough with each other that we don't even need to have words in our conversations.
Yeah, and we don't have to have the small talk either. Like, you can, just out of the blue, just ask me a question. You don't have to preface it with,
hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
how's it going today? Have you seen the weather?
Yeah.
It's just flat out, hey, what about this?
Yeah. So that's pretty nice. It's really good to have those relationships where you can just be genuine like that and not have to. It's always good to be nice to somebody.
Of course. But there's the understanding, the things you put in place are. Well, yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe it. Is there's an understanding that there is no animosity between the two people, that there is genuine care, mm-hmm. and that they don't require all this fluff and BS in order to keep their relationship going.
Yeah, I'm so straightforward in my friendships that sometimes I have to remind myself to at least ask somebody how they're doing, because I kind of just don't. I'm kind of bad for that, but there have been times before where I've had some pretty major life events happen, and people would find out way after the fact, mm-hmm. just because I didn't think to tell them. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. So yeah, that's something I need to work on is making sure that I reach out a little better. But I'm very selective in who I reach out to. I guess I'm just not a major conversationalist.
Yeah, me either. See, for me, I kind of feel I'm borderline sociopath. I mean, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that while you're trying to take a drink of water.
I didn't expect that word.
But I've said it a million times. I don't like people, but I can BS with someone to the point where they think that I'm the most pleasant people person on the planet. But the second that they walk away, it's like, God, I can't stand that person. But where was I going with this? I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just you don't want to have to force a conversation that ends up being a burden, a chore. Yeah, I like casual everything. That's why I wear cargo shorts, the man purse of pants.
Yeah. I do like cargo shorts too.
They're very handy.
Yeah, I don't have to ask Andrea to hold my keys.
Yeah, I don't have to sit on my wallet.
Because no matter how many times...
Tangent. So, next on the list... we're so spacing out on this one.
Well, Rich, we're comfortable.
Yeah,
we'll just leave it at that.
Well, this next one's really good, actually. Anger is not worth it, and that touches on one of my later points as well. But I agree 100%. There obviously you're going to have moments in your life where anger is just going to be maybe uncontrollable. Maybe that person cuts you off, and you just had a bad day and whatnot. But it in the end. Finding a way to kind of help control yourself, and you don't have to suffocate your feelings. You can still be upset or be unhappy with a situation, but the true anger and everything like that, it's just, in my opinion, it's just wasted. It's additional stress that's just not necessary.
Well, for me personally, I think that it kind of plays into itself, where I would rather let anger go than have a lot of remorse later.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best way to describe it.
It's not, and I don't care who says they can, you can't think clearly when you're, fists tight and shaking when I'm teeth clenched.
When I'm brutally angry, it's like the Incredible Hulk is all you see is just blinding rage. You're not thinking anything else. You're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking about what you're going to say before you act upon it, and that is dangerous.
Yeah, anger. I mean, it's a lifelong trick, in my opinion. I mean, there are a lot of people that get it quicker, but it's something I think you need to work at consistently.
I'm terrible for it. Me personally,
I do better now. I was worse when I was younger. I had a short fuse when I was in late teens and early 20s. It was really bad.
Well, that's teenage angst right there.
Yeah, I mean that comes with the territory, but it was definitely time has really changed me to the point where now I'm like, why get a big, a lot of the issues that cause me anger, the anger doesn't change anything.
No.
Usually
you just feel worse when you just sit and fixate on politics.
Right. Yeah. So
just let it go. Let it go.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Just wait until
the second one's coming out.
Oh,
Tangent.
I know what your kid's gonna want to see.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, anger, not worth it. I agree.
Not worth it at all. But moving on, guess what is worth it? Passion. Mm-hmm. Passion makes life worthwhile. Whatever you're doing, put yourself into it 110%.
And like, embarrassment be damned. Like you get those people that I love this song, but I don't want to sing along to it.
Who cares what people think? Are you going to sit around and think about that time where you didn't sing a song in the middle of the bar?
Yeah.
No, just
be you, man.
Yeah, be you. Have fun. That's how you create memories.
Yeah.
There's another item that's further down the list. I'm just going to touch on it just for a quick second. Perfection is stupid. You have to have flaws in your life. You have to have mistakes, and you have to learn from them. You have to have fun with whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and realize that the flaws don't really matter. I see a lot of people where they kind of have this one-way mirror of the world where they think, the world's coming in on them and judging them specifically. But they would never do it in the opposite direction. You're walking along and you trip over your own feet and you're thinking, oh gosh, everybody that saw that probably thinks I'm so stupid. But if you saw somebody else trip over their feet, you'd be like, oh, that person tripped over their own feet. Hope they're okay. Anyways, or you might not think about it at all. You might just kind of like glance and keep going because you're busy thinking about yourself. So I think it's really important to realize that not all the cameras are on you. Most people don't care.
Yeah.
And those that do, they're probably not good people. If somebody's going to ridicule you over having fun and enjoying life, you don't need them in your life.
The people that are going to judge you and make fun of you, they're not the people that you want to be friends with anyway. So who cares what they think? Their opinion of you isn't going to change a single thing in your life if you don't let it.
Absolutely. And I think if we all learn to kind of not give any stock to the people out there that are just constantly dragging down folks like that, I think eventually they'll look around and realize that they're kind of all alone and everybody's tired of their crap anyways.
Exactly.
And maybe they'll change for the better, or maybe it won't matter because they're not bothering folks. So
if they have that realization that they're a terrible person, guess what? You're not going to care because you're going to be in your own little world having fun, tripping over your own feet.
Yeah, and so dive in and laugh it off. Passion absolutely makes life amazing. Dive in. Don't be afraid to fail. We touched on this before. Yeah. Take that art class if you like doodling. Even if you suck at it, go have that class and do it for the sake of camaraderie, of being in a room full of like-minded people that also maybe suck at art. I would be terrible at it, but it doesn't mean that you're getting judged by it. You're not, immediately going to have to answer to an art critic. Just go and do and have fun, and you might surprise yourself with something that you find that you thought you might have had a passing interest in that turns into a passion because you go ahead and dive in.
Mm-hmm. Like your and my guitar collection. It started off with just us tinkering and put some work into it. Put some passion into it, and voila, we're crazy cat ladies.
Sure are.
Pretty much. Well, we got 2 more things left on the list. 38 minutes, huh? Okay.
That'll be a short video. That's fine.
That's okay. Well, we still have our own that we have to talk about.
That's fine.
Yeah. Anyhow, number 9. It plays into what we just talked about. Thoughts become reality only if you let them. Sitting there fixating on things, worrying what people think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole worrying aspect. I don't know how many times, and I think I've touched on this in other videos, but how worrying about something sometimes is far more of a hardship than enduring the event. You're in college or in high school and you got a big test coming up, and You can worry about it, or you can just study for it and try to prepare yourself. But try to get some sleep. And worrying is only really punishing yourself ahead of time for something that may or may not be an issue. Like It's a guaranteed punishment. Like if something goes wrong, maybe that test didn't go so well, you didn't understand some things, then okay, now you have to deal with the backlash of that. But you've already forced yourself through 24, 36 hours of punishment, self-induced punishment, because of worrying. And obviously it's not possible to just turn that off, but it's definitely something to try to keep in mind anytime something concerns you. If there's an event that's going to happen, either you can do something about it or you can't do something about it. And either way is a really good reason not to worry yourself to death.
If you can do something about it, then it's easy. Do something about it.
Yeah.
If you can't, don't worry about it.
Then what,
because there's nothing you can do to change it.
Exactly.
So, and then the last thing I had on the list is perfection is boring. Perfection sucks.
Yeah.
And I think that is so true. I can't stand whenever people think that there's nothing left to learn, when there's no lessons that they can't be taught. Every single day when you run into somebody, you're running into someone that knows something that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they can teach you, a whole different world than what you've ever seen. And that's just one person. No one's perfect. I can't stress that enough. I'm the most imperfect person on the planet. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think our daughters are pretty close to perfection.
Well, yeah, but they're not. I mean, if I can be, straightforward here, they're not. We all have our faults, and I think it's important to remember that that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Not being perfect is normal because literally everyone is that. It's like somebody worrying all day long that they can't fly. Yeah. Like, well, nobody can.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's important to embrace people's flaws.
And differences.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't call them flaws anymore. Maybe that's an incorrect way to think. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
It's true. That's a really good thought.
Just differences. Just different.
Mm-hmm.
Just different. And that's so much better. Who wants a box of crayons that have nothing but the same shade of blue?
Yeah, I mean, be a person colored red in a world of gray. Maybe not red, scarlet letter and that kind of thing.
I don't know. But either way, yeah, no, yeah. We should all celebrate our differences and understand that there's. Well, in my opinion, I think perfection is not even an accurate terminology. I mean, it's so objective. Most of the things. I mean, obviously, if you needed if you were a machinist and you had to make a block that was 1 foot by 1 foot, there's a perfect way to do it. And
there's
the rest
tolerance.
is wrong.
There's tolerances.
but for when we're talking about people and personalities and interests and things like that, I don't even know that perfection is an accurate form of measurement or
Well, I mean, how could it be? Because no one's perfect.
Right, yeah, and it's like it's just strive for happiness in it, and if you're looking specifically to do a particular thing quite well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we have the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Some people can bowl, way better than all the rest of us. But perfection, I think, is just something that we all need to kind of get out of our heads to not focus on because it's an unattainable. Silly concept that is just not necessary. Just get rid of it.
Trying to be perfect is dumb in my opinion, but trying to be the best that you can be is good.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that.
It really comes to your outlook on it. What your personal views are. If you want to be the best in the world at something, I mean, that's great. That's giving everything 110%. That's giving you a reason to go after something. But at the end of the day, you might be the best at something, but you're gonna suck at something else.
Right.
So you're not gonna be perfect, and there's no reason to expect that. Don't be a sheep.
So that's it.
That's
that
everything.
Was the main list.
That's everything we had on our list. I mean, we could probably go on and on and on. And hey, well, we're going to. we did come up with a few of our own. Did you want to go through your list first?
I mean, we can maybe jump back and forth.
Okay.
There's a good chance that we have at least one thing in common because that typically is how our lists go. But I'll start with my first one. Mine was pick your battles.
Ooh.
And that touches on what we said before about anger and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important for us to just focus in on what's really important. You can stand your ground on every single conflict. And when it's all said and done, you're just kind of a jerk probably. It's one of those, like, give a little, it's kind of unreasonable to expect someone else to maybe concede to your preferences or your opinion on a subject if you never do the same for someone else or for that person as well. So I think it's very important to pick your battles wisely and understand which ones are frivolous and which ones genuinely need to be. I don't even want to use the word fought because I don't agree and I don't like arguments. I like conflict resolution. I prefer a discussion versus an argument. I don't care who I'm talking to. But if you're going to take the time to do that, if you're going to invest your life, you only have so many minutes to live. If you're going to invest part of your life into something, make sure it's worthwhile. And at the end, it's not just idiotic.
Pretty much. Going off of mine, very first one I have is life is unpredictable. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be worth living.
Yeah.
I do not want to have the same routine over and over and over again. I want to have something new. I want to have something different.
Oh, and you will. Yeah. Whether you want it or not, because life is unpredictable.
Like,
absolutely.
if everything was planned out to a T and there was no surprises, then it would just be the most boring thing on the planet. And for me, it just wouldn't be worth it anymore.
Yeah. You just kind of go with the flow. It's it was like the term "the best laid plans of mice and men." It's one of those you can do your very best to take the reins of your life, and for the better part, you can definitely help steer the ship or the boat, I guess you could say in this analogy. Right. But ultimately, you're going to be in that river. You can't steer your boat to the top of the mountain. Well, the river is going to dictate where you go, and you're going to do your best to just kind of control the situations as you do, and you can decide if you want to look at the positive or negative sides of those things.
Well, for me, along the same kind of line is you're not able to control everything. Right. So quit trying to.
Yeah. There are going to be aspects of your life that are completely out of your hands.
Right.
And you can do your best to react accordingly, but ultimately, you're just go along with it.
There's a difference between acting proactively and acting reactively.
Yeah.
So, what do you got next?
So the next one, actually, I think was my favorite of all three. Is they're not in any particular order, anyways, but hatred is not worth it. I think this is very, very important to me. Is hatred is whatever you hate is controlling you. I think you're giving the thing control. If it's a person or
you're giving it power.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Like, if I have a person that is just we don't click. We don't work well together. Maybe they offended me or purposefully. Maybe somebody was just an absolute beehole to me.
It's been a while since I've heard that one.
Right? Bringing it back. It's I can let it go, like we've talked about before in this, or I can choose to hate them over it, but now they're controlling my life. And I think it's very important to just consider that you're giving them the ability to have that power. Maybe they're not thinking about you at all. Maybe they cut you off in traffic and they kept motoring because they're on their way, and you're the one stewing over it, and you're the one suffering.
Oh, I saw a thing on Mad Men that goes along this very thing. Guy looks at him and goes, "Man, I pity you." He looks back at him and says, "That's funny. I don't think about you at all."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. And that kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion. And this is a very difficult thing to a concept to grasp. I've been working for pretty much my entire life to perfect this. Words can have the meaning if you allow them to, and I'm talking specifically, obviously, about insults and things of that nature. Slurs and whatnot. I decided a long time ago in my life to not allow words to have that power over me. Just the same as I don't want a hatred for a person or a scenario or an event to bog me down, to weigh me down. I'm going to do the same thing with words. And we've all been there. We've all had people try to use, insults to hurt us. First off, don't be that person that does that. But second of all, if you're on the receiving end of that, it's up to you, and you have to work at it, and you have to kind of realize and decide that it just sounds,
You have to be the bigger person.
Yeah, and for me, if somebody, and it doesn't matter the caliber of the insult, there's some pretty healthy insults out there. There are words that we describe by letters, and I think if a person were to use those at me, in my direction as a plan to hurt me, I would rather than giving them that satisfaction, giving into it and letting them hurt me, I would more focus on, I don't need this person. I can dismiss a person very easily based on something of that nature, and it's such a freeing experience to just be like, well, that person, they're trying to hurt me, and I don't need them. I don't need that. I give them no stock. I wash my hands of them, and I'm done with them. And you can do it in a way that obviously you're gonna have to take the high road to do that. But you can work on yourself to make sure that you have that ability to walk away and not allow another person into your heart.
Right. I don't have any retort to that. I agree with everything you said 100%. Next on mine is it's okay to be bad at something.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are so hard on themselves because they're not good at fill in the blank. But
yeah.
We're all human beings. Just
yeah, that definitely harkens back to the perfection thing. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine to be terrible at something, because if you don't want to continue doing that, then that's your decision. It's okay. It's all about what you want to do that makes your life better, what makes you happy. And if something doesn't make you happy, well, then by all means, don't continue doing it.
Right.
It's if there's something I don't like, I'm not going to do what I can to stick around and have that controlling me. I just want to get away from it and envelop myself over things that I actually do enjoy.
Yeah.
Going back to the whole passion thing in your life, that's what I have for that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think to kind of touch on that, I think it's perfectly okay to dive into something and find out you didn't like it.
Right.
It's okay to grab that hobby and like maybe tennis isn't for me. I don't have the ankles for it. I don't have the hand-eye coordination.
I don't have the lung capacity.
I gave it my best. I'm not good at it, but I had fun trying, and at the end of the day, I don't want to ice my knees down. I think I'm gonna call it and find some other calling. There's nothing wrong with trying something that you're not liking.
Here's the beauty about trying something. There's a 50-50 chance that you're gonna like it.
Right.
Yeah. It's
those are really good odds. If the lottery were like that, we'd all play every day.
Exactly. So go out, do something different, have fun. If you don't like it,
stop investing in it.
Yeah.
And just move on.
Move on to the next thing. It's okay.
Learn from it. That's not for me. That's and it's no big deal. I don't have to be ashamed that I am not a gymnast or and I always go to hobbies for these examples, but whatever it is, and in my opinion, that can even apply to things in life that maybe are a little bit more important. Obviously, you need to be good at keeping yourself alive, but you get in school, you get those kids that are kind of bad at art, and everybody goes, oh well, art's not for you or whatever. But then you get the kids that maybe they're just not that great at math, and the whole world shuns them over it, and they get berated, and the school's coming down on them, and there's all this pressure. Hey, you know what? You don't have to be amazing at math. It definitely makes the world go better, but if you're not looking to be an engineer or something of that nature, maybe your passion lies in something that's not math heavy. It's not the end of the world, in my opinion, if you just kind of don't get calculus, or any of those type things. You do your best. I know for a fact that I have friends that maybe their grasp of the English language isn't that great. Mine isn't. I do okay for myself, I guess, but there's definitely moments where I wish I could think of a word like in these videos. But to be hard on yourself over that is just not necessary, and I think it's really important to remember that it's okay to be bad at things. I love that point. I didn't think of it, but I really love that point.
Gotcha. What's your last one?
Oh, last point, and I think we're getting close to an hour here, so we did all right. We did all right. We didn't do the 45.
And I still have one more point.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, okay. Well, then, okay, we're fine. My third point is, and this is more specific to me, so obviously it doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. I'm a big fan of the concept of don't give material gifts, give time. And we live in a very material world, and we've talked about that in this segment. Where people have to have the next big thing and whatnot. But I can definitely think back to times in my life where I would have much rather somebody not spent the money on the thing that they gave me and walked away, but instead spent half of that money on an event, or no money. Just, I would much rather somebody treat me to a couple of hot dogs at Coney Island than to give me a gift card to a steakhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people are forgetting how valuable their time is to others. You got that relative that's maybe they're getting older and people aren't visiting them as much. Mm-hmm. And that can make their month to have a visit. And I think it's very important to call your grandma, which I need to do, and give your time. Your time is very valuable to your loved ones.
Well, perfect example. I asked Andrea what she wanted for Mother's Day this year. She said, "Oh, nothing. I just want to spend the day with you and Brady." Mm-hmm. And there's the perfect example. She's thinking exactly that. She's thinking. Yeah, material items don't matter.
Not a ring or a necklace, and those are nice. But at the end of the day, standing in a room by myself with a pretty necklace is lonely. Mm-hmm. I would much rather have somebody's time,
same.
than a material gift.
Last one I have: don't be a jerk.
Yeah,
that's pretty much as basic and as simple.
We could almost replace every other item on this list with that one thing. It all kind of stews down and boils down to that basic concept is be nice.
Yeah, just be a person that you would want to spend time around.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it is. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Be the happiness you want to see in life. Don't be one of those people that complains that people are rude, but you're rude. Be nice, and if somebody's rude to you, turn the other cheek and be nice. Kill it with kindness. Yeah. Don't turn the cheek. Smile at them instead, and then I guess walk away.
The people that whine and cry about drama are the ones that absolutely crave drama.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
Yeah. It's like if you hate people gossiping, then maybe you shouldn't be gossiping as well.
Absolutely.
If you're talking behind someone's back, then there's probably a good chance that someone's doing the exact same about you.
Yeah, and it can end at you. If person A wrongs person B, and then person B takes that out on person C, and your person D, you can end it at that line. It doesn't have to go on. You don't have to pass that on.
Yeah, just don't be a jerk.
Yep.
It's pretty simple. It's an easy concept that every single person on the planet can embrace.
Yeah. And should.
Well, if everyone did that, then everyone would be.
Yeah, all the problems would be solved.
Every single problem would be solved.
Yeah. So I absolutely. I don't know how that never came up until the very last point. That's a good ender.
I figured that'd be a good thing to end on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this kind of wraps up our life lessons. It's more or less us just a list of things that are important to us.
A list of things that I wish I would have listened to when my elders told me this before. I'm just, in our 30s, we're just now realizing all these things that your grandparents figured it out, and your parents figured it out, and your aunts and your uncles, they all knew it. I guess you have to do your time and make the mistakes to come into your own and find it. But these are definitely a list of things that I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, but at the same time,
we wouldn't have listened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't have cared at all.
Yeah.
We couldn't have cared.
And in the next 30 years, what else are we going to learn? We might listen back to this video or this recording and be like, "Oh boy, I could add 20 more things to that list of 10." And
I'm sure we could.
And maybe one of these items on the list we won't agree with someday. I doubt it, but
well, this is where we stand right now.
Yeah, I think it's a good place.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like all of these points.
Me too. We'd love to hear what kind of points you guys have. What are your
Absolutely.
thoughts? What life lessons would you want to tell the world? Hit us up. We're always available. We're always ready to talk. It's not like we don't have notifications on our phones.
Yeah.
So, send us a message. Let us know what you think. But I think this was a fun one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
You want to send it out? Give them all the different links and all that.
Make sure that you visit us on the web at stuffamongotherthings.com, where you can enjoy all of our previous episodes. That sounded pretty good.
That was good.
I'm a fan of that one, but if you're good, I'm good. So
let's call it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Peace, guys.
This has been the Stuff Among Other Things weekly podcast. For a complete list of episodes, visit us on the web at stuffamongotherthings.com.